What you're hired for is to help us. Does that seem clear to you? To help us, not to f us up. To help men who are going out there to try to earn a living, you fairy. You company man. I'll tell you something else. I hope you rip the joint off. I can tell our friend here a little something might help him to catch you. You want to learn the first rule you'd know if you ever spent a day in your life. You never open your mouth till you know what the shot is. You fucking child.
Okay, come here. Sit down. Look, buddy, we need to talk. We need to have a serious conversation. I think we are facing a genuine problem right now, and it needs to be addressed immediately. Do game devs hate gamers?
What kind of question is that?
Now, if you're taking that question at face value, the obvious answer is no. Of course devs don't hate gamers. Why would you work all those hours devoting years of your life to a game that you don't even know whether or not it'll be successful or piss somebody off? I mean, unless you're Rockstar. No, there's no way devs hate gamers. But, why does it feel like it? I have been a gamer my whole life and have followed the gaming zeitgeist for a long time. Not as closely as I do now because I'm now a YouTuber and I have to talk about this stuff, but never have I seen as many game developers nowadays come out on social media and just straight up insult their audience. It feels like every month there's another video about a dev saying something stupid about how they can't stand gamers, they hate gamers, or hell, even just brushing aside criticism because you just don't understand.
I'm so sick of your goody two-shoes bullshit. You don't understand. You never understood because you never fucking listened to me.
And this blows my mind because you should know stuff like this is not gonna end well for you or your studio, but it seems like they just don't care. And that's what I want to explore today. Why are so many devs just showing disdain? And more importantly, why are they comfortable showing disdain for the people they're making games for? Or alternatively, this is just my excuse to destroy these guys with facts and logic. Time for some discipline, you talentless freaks. So strap in, boys and girls, and let's get down to business. Now, game devs looking down on gamers is not some new phenomenon that just came out of the warp like the Thousand Suns. Remember something like Neil Druckmann back in 2020 when The Last of Us Part 2 was pissing people off left and right? And hell, game journalists have been hurling stones at gamers ever since the dawn of time. To this day, Alyssa Mercante wants you to fight her. Physically.
Bitch!
But actual game devs and community managers for these games coming out and saying stuff seems like it's been happening on an almost consistent basis. And it's not like small indie or AA studios, it's established AAA studios like Bethesda, Obsidian, CD Projekt Red, Crystal Dynamics. Like these aren't exactly rookies in the business. And people like this know that establishing a relationship with your audience is the first thing you have to do when trying to break into the business, which they have all done. So why exactly has this happened? Well, the biggest reason why? It's simple.
I'm gonna have a field day with his ass on Twitter. Oh.
Social media. What a wonderful thing. This holy tool given to us by the gods has given people the ability to express themselves however and whenever they please.
Dry January? Fuck that. Get wrecked every day. Be a man.
And it's one of the many double-edged swords that humanity has ever been graced with, because when you have the ability to express yourself in front of the whole world, well, you're gonna want to do that. The pull, the desire, the unrelenting urge to whip out your phone to type what you're feeling at a certain moment is a temptation that we all struggle with as humans. And that is just the backdrop. When you look at the game devs in question, all of them have one common trait: ego. The thought that you are above everybody else and your opinion matters more than the result of your work. That is the common theme that you will see with everybody here. And a lot of the devs in question also have a real connection to modern social politics, which are exclusively fostered on social media, specifically sites like Twitter, which makes the biggest difference in this case because it's not like devs have never had egos, but when you have the mindset that you need to show you're on the side of the greater good, what are you, the Tau? Couple that with unfettered access to show that to everyone, and you see what's gonna happen here, right? What do you say we give some examples, shall we?
Hey, Sal, we must have been through this 50 times already.
And we'll go through it another 50 if that's what it takes. 9:30, lights out. god begins his rounds.
First up in our detention block, we have Emil Pagliarulo, lead writer and design director for Bethesda Game Studios, and more importantly, Todd Howard's right-hand man. When Starfield came out in 2023, it had mixed reception at best, and most people saw it as a colossal disappointment, and showered it with criticism. So, what did good ol' Emil do? He decided to make a 15-part thread on Twitter complaining about it. I'm not gonna read all 15 parts of this to you, especially now since his Twitter account has been deleted, but to sum all this up, this thread was a gigantic, long-winded, "Stop hating my game, you don't know how hard it was to make." Funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, and yet they speak with complete authority. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory, so what the hell do I really know? Not a lot.
Oh, boo-hoo! Let me play a sad song for you on the world's smallest violin.
Emil, no one cares. This idea that you can't criticize a game because you weren't there in the trenches or you don't know how it was made is such a pretentious stance to take. I'm surprised Emil here was able to take his head out of his own ass to write this thing in the first place. Since when is the customer obligated to know how something is made to say if something is bad or not? Most people don't know how to make a car, but if you're driving down the road and the engine drops out halfway, fuck how hard it was to make, you did a shit job. Yes, it's a Mazda.
This?
That is why we pay you money, because you're supposed to be the best in the world. If people could make cars or games themselves, they would do it. You are never allowed to use making games is hard as an excuse for putting out a bad game, especially Bethesda, which has been putting out outdated garbage for over a decade that gets blown out of the water by a mod. This isn't an industry problem. It's a you problem, and it's not the player's responsibility to care. That is where the disdain for gamers comes into play, because when we don't all nod in lockstep with you, you get angry that we aren't being good little boys and girls. But alright, that's a bad reaction, but at least Emil isn't outright saying he hates gamers, unlike the rest of these guys. Next up, we got one of the devs from Firewalk Studios, who worked on Concord.
Not this train wreck again.
The biggest embarrassment in the history of gaming, released on August 23rd to absolutely no one caring or even knowing that it released. That same day, a developer on the game decided to take to Twitter and share his thoughts, and most people, when they get negative feedback, they usually say something like this: "Hey, me and the team put our hearts and souls into this game, but, you know, unfortunately it didn't land the way we intended to, and I'm sorry that we let so many of you guys down. But you know what? We're going to take these lessons from this, learn from our mistakes, and come back better developers for this. You have not seen the last of Firewalk." What did this guy say instead? "Why would I care about a bunch of talentless freaks hating on it?"
You got a lot of fucking balls, you know that?
Why? Why would you say this? Talentless freaks? What is going on in your head that makes you think this is the correct response? Like, I get it, you put years of your life into a project, and when it's not received well, you're gonna feel anger, sadness, disappointment. Like, why don't you guys like what I made, damn it? But the last thing you do is insult everybody who doesn't like it, especially when that everybody is everybody. They don't like it for a reason. I gotta explain this to you? I personally have made videos that have not done well view-wise. I've felt those same things, and videos like my Dark Souls 2 one got a lot of pushback, probably my most polarizing video to date. By the way, I stand by everything I said in that one. But after seeing the negative comments, did I turn around and call those guys talentless freaks? No, of course not. No shit, I didn't do that. Number one, because I'd be wrong, and two, it'd be stupid. Because once that's all out there, good luck getting anybody else to support you or have any sympathy for you whatsoever. And you could see this in the replies to the tweet too. Talentless freaks, I actually came to drop some positive criticism, but get fucked. Clearly based on the game, you're the one with no talent. So not only have you embarrassed yourselves and Sony with Concord on its own, which is a massive stain on anybody's resume, now you've completely thrown all sympathy for yourselves out the window based on one guy's urge to tweet. By the way, this was in response to a post that said they actually feel bad for the team and it's not their fault the game is flopping. He wasn't even rude to him, and this is the response you give. Great job. And buddy, talentless freaks is the last thing I'd call someone when these are what your character models look like. I didn't open the floodgates, you did. By the way, you know the guy's in the right when he goes into protected mode. Yep, he's on the right side, boys. But moving on to the next inmate of the detention block, we have the most prominent example and the guy who really got everyone talking about devs hating gamers and DEI and all that good stuff at these studios. A man by the name of Matt Hansen, the art director for Avowed, Obsidian's new upcoming RPG. Now, while the Emil thread was the first to get the ball rolling for the sake of this video, Matt Hansen's little temper tantrum against Elon Musk was the climax of this entire situation, because this guy woke up on November 25th and decided to put out a video on Pornhub titled "Man F***s Entire Studio." As you may know, Avowed has character pronouns in the game. Now, whether you like that or not, some people got upset. Namely, Elon Musk. And Matt's response? "I wanted so bad to make him mad with my game, and I can't believe it actually happened. Just wait until you see the default, you said little shit. I need a spell check on a dumbass." But rather than stop there, Matt Hansen kept going. So before we peel back the layers of this onion, because as you know,
Ogres are like onions.
let me just say that the politics of this thing is not the issue here, at least with me. The issue is that you, as a high-ranking member of the design team, just came out and admitted that you made the game with the intention to piss off part of your audience. Because Elon Musk is not the only person who thinks this, and despite what you may think, this is not a fringe position to have. More and more people every day are getting tired of pronouns in games, and as I will continue to reiterate throughout this video, whether you agree with that or not, that is something that you have to recognize. And throughout all of this, you cannot commit the cardinal sin of business. Don't insult or talk down to your customers. But my friends, that's only part of the Matt Hansen saga. After this little tirade, people started to do some digging, and they actually found a bunch of other neat little items, including the fact that, Matt Hansen is a pretty big racist. Because on his Twitter account, before seemingly deleting it, I couldn't find it anywhere, so that's a good sign, I guess, he had this tweet pinned. "Reminder to black artists out there who are looking for portfolio reviews or job advice. My DMs are open, and you will always have my priority. We got too many crusty white dudes in this field. Please let me help you replace me one day. I want to go back to living in the woods." Funny thing about this, Matt.
That's fucking illegal.
Not to mention, back in March, he had this response to another one of Elon Musk's tweets, which I don't know how else to read this other than he really hates white people. Bro, you're white! But this pinned tweet, as you can see, was also reposted by Josh Sawyer, who is the head of Obsidian, which prompted Elon Musk to tag Satya Nadella on Twitter to let him know, hey, this is illegal. Which, if you think two of the richest men in the world don't know or talk to each other, you're smoking something strong. Satya definitely caught wind of this. And this also prompted the Obsidian co-founder, Chris Avallone, who has since left the studio, to literally call for people to start filing lawsuits. Jesus Christ. So all that's bad enough, but apparently Matt Hansen's tirade got somebody at Obsidian emboldened to, leak screenshots of the team's internal Slack messages, and all of them seem to also be celebrating that this pissed Elon off. Now, why does this matter? Because now you took the illusion of this one guy who thinks this and exposed that potentially all at the studio think like this, which makes it way worse in the eyes of the consumer. This went from thinking, oh, I really hate what this guy said, but you know what? The team probably worked hard and I'm still gonna check it out. Turn that into, oh no, the whole team hates me. F*** you guys. So to recap the entire lore of the f***ing Horus heresy, because one man decided to open his mouth and insult a good portion of the gaming audience, he exposed his entire team, he opened his studio up to legal trouble, and he is 100% going to hurt the sales of this game. Because it would be one thing if Avowed was just hurt by this, but it's coming out in a month that also has Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Monster Hunter Wilds, Civ 7, and Like a Dragon Pirate Yakuza. And at the time he said this, Assassin's Creed Shadows was also coming out before it recently got delayed to March 20th. Ironically, that is the anniversary of one of Japan's most deadly terrorist attacks, but that's another story. Jesus, Ubisoft. And it's a shame because I'm genuinely looking forward to Avowed, and I'm gonna play and review it. At least I plan on it. But when you're coming out in a month that is this stacked you need every single advantage you can get, because even though this is going to be a day one Game Pass title, you're not just competing for people's money, you're competing for people's time. And the last thing you need is to give people a reason to not play your game. And you gave them one on a silver platter. The common theme that I have been talking about so far with every example has not been more true than with Matt Hansen. This is nothing more than somebody with main character syndrome who feels their urge to tweet out their opinions matters more than the game that you and your team have been slaving over for years. That is the sign of somebody who doesn't think before he speaks at best, and at worst doesn't care about anyone but himself. And believe me, we're not done with that yet. Now, this next one is a little different because rather than saying something recently, this is an example of things that have been said in the past that have been uncovered recently. This is CD Projekt Red's franchise and lore designer, Kian Maher. I'm pretty sure that's how you say his name. Soon after the reveal trailer for Witcher 4, people found out that up to 2021, Maher was a former lead features editor at The Gamer. That's giant red flag number one. But the reason why this man is in the detention block is this little Twitter exchange he had back in 2020. Some random guy tweeted, "In 2020, I want muscles so I can effectively punch gamers and also so I can carry cute people and dogs of any size easily. I didn't realize until this tweet, but this is now also what I want. You want to punch gamers or you want CG to punch you? Me and Caitlin will punch gamers together."
I've never seen such a fearless display of sheer idiocy. Bravo.
Caitlin being Caitlin Thirstfield, another writer over at The Gamer. At least I think that's what she is, but that's not relevant right now. We will punch gamers together? Yeah, remember what I said about games journalists hating gamers? You hired one as your lore designer. Now this man has a boatload of other tweets that he's put out. I mean, this man could not put the phone down, including tweets about Hogwarts Legacy when it came out. Guess what side he was on? Cheering on Alyssa Mercante. Excuse me while I go throw up, and other tweets that shit on people for not liking diversity and stuff like that. Now you might be sitting there saying, ZD, why is this relevant now? These tweets were years ago. Maybe the guy had a change of heart. And you'd be right on the first part. All these tweets were from 2020 to 2022 and early 2023 before he was brought on as the lore designer for CDPR in April of 2023. And from what I could see, he hasn't said anything antagonistic since then, although this man tweets a lot. Like, dude, put the phone down.
Put that cookie down now.
But even though he hasn't said anything like this lately, you also have to remember that this man is working at an actual game studio now, not an insane asylum like The Gamer, a studio that has released critically acclaimed games and expansions. I don't care if you think that the people at CDPR believe the same things as him. If you go on a tirade like this while under their employment, they're not just gonna sit back and watch. You're gonna face some discipline. At least I hope you would. You represent our studio and the wants of our millions of fans worldwide. You're not saying stuff like this. And I'll give him credit for now. At least after the Witcher 4 reveal, he didn't get on Twitter and say something stupid like, "Oh, you don't like how Siri looks? Oh, say that to my face so I can punch it!" So no, I don't believe this man has changed his opinions magically overnight. He's just not saying them, which leads me to my question. Why did CDPR hire this guy in the first place? I don't know if companies still check your social media before they hire you. They didn't for me when I got my business job, or at least I don't know if they did. But if I'm a hiring manager for a game studio and I have a candidate who has stated in the past that he wants to physically assault the people who are going to give me money, I'm not picking you. If you have shown to have such a disdain for your audience, there's no way in hell you should be making games for them, because I have no clue what your motives are. Maybe they didn't look back that far to see that comment, but it's not like he wasn't saying stuff on Twitter after that, especially after he wrote an article for The Gamer saying he thinks it was right for The Witcher Season 2 to deviate from the books, which was the season where things started to really go downhill. I blame CDPR for this. They didn't do enough research on this guy, and if they did and didn't find it a problem, that's on them. God, we're almost done. Okay, we then have a more recent example in Crystal Dynamics level designer Colby Payne. Guys, just stop talking. As some of you will know, Crystal Dynamics was sold off by Square Enix after Marvel's Avengers did a Marvel's Avengers.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
And now these guys are helping the Initiative develop the Perfect Dark remake because they really needed it. But this man, of course, tweeted, What'd you think was gonna happen? On February 2nd, 2024, in a response to a Laura Bailey interview where she described the hate and death threats she got for playing Abby in The Last of Us Part 2, Colby simply replied, "Gamers were a mistake." Okay, dude. Let me explain something here. When upset gamers see a woman as the main, Elmo gave these bigots a platform to be their authentic. Damn, sucks to see you supporting look, not everyone's vote. Gaming is for everyone. Stop calling everyone female protagonists. Pigs! Colby, come here. Come here for a second, buddy. Come here.
Stop posting about the neighbors!
Oh, he actually listened. Stop talking. Stop tweeting. Stop insulting the people you disagree with every time there's a topic of diversity that comes up. You're not bringing anyone over to your side when you're spouting shit like this. And hey, more importantly, you're a game developer. You're a level designer for a game that has been in development hell since the Klondike bar was invented. That trailer you showed last year is not real. That's what you hope it will look like. Now, I desperately want that to be real, because if that is the final product, it's gonna be awesome. But if you spent less time talking shit to gamers, maybe the game would be further along than it actually is. And something changed with him. Either someone talked to him or he realized the error of his ways, because his Twitter account has gone bye-bye. I'm not trying to bring politics into this video, because at the end of the day, who cares who has what politics? But when your ideological beliefs are causing you to shit talk gamers uncontrollably like you have f***ing Tourette's, all you're doing is brewing resentment towards the very thing you're supposedly trying to advance. Not to mention how this makes people start to view the game you're working on. The game you're trying to sell to your audience? The ones who you've repeatedly called bigots? The only thing you tweeting is gonna get you is a middle finger. So please, for the love of God, stop putting up yours. But for the final inmate in the detention block, and what was the straw that broke the camel's back for me to make this video, was Katie Robinson, community manager of Compulsion Games. Compulsion Games are the developers of South of Midnight, releasing this year, and is already going to be looking like a game that's going to have some modern themes discussed, and not going to really be accepted by a lot of people. No, not because the main character is black, especially since the studio is being helped by Sweet Baby Inc.
Oh dear God!
But that's not the issue. What is a problem is Robinson's tweet in February of last year. This one is simple. Honestly, I hate gamers. Really making me work for this one, are you? Katie, if that is the case, then why are you working in the video game industry?
If you're not happy here, then you can leave.
You know, I've been pretty generous to most of the people that are on this list, and I've tried to at least give them the benefit of the doubt, explain what they might be thinking, you know, not outright going scorched earth on them. Katie Robinson is not this case. Katie Robinson is here to push an agenda. When you say in interviews that you think white male gamers were a mistake and tweet shit like Asians are white adjacent, what the fuck? You are not here to help better the industry. You are here to push your ideology onto others. You are not adding anything of value, and it sounds like you don't want to. You are cutting off a very large portion of your audience when you say stuff like this. And as a community manager, the person who's supposed to be the touch point with the fan base, that is inexcusable. Especially for a studio like Compulsion, who is in a very tight situation, because I don't know if you know this, Katie, but if South of Midnight flops, you know people at your studio are gonna be terrified, right? Because there's a real possibility of, you know, Xbox shutting your entire studio down. Do you remember what they did with Tango and Arcane? But she has her Twitch channel. She'll be fine. Not so much the level designers. There's devs saying stupid shit, and then there's activists who truly don't care how much damage they do to their brand. Katie Robinson is an activist. The worst kind.
Holy crap, we finally made it to the end. So, as you can see, we have had way too many instances of devs feeling way too comfortable saying that they hate their audience. I don't usually make videos going after people, but I had to make an exception in this case because of just how wild this is, and it needs to stop now. I truly think every one of these people and people who think like this should be fired, because on a baseline level, they lack the respect for the people they're making products for. Because at the end of the day, gaming is a business. You sell products to people, and when you, as the developers, hate your audience and hate the people you're selling products to, then you won't try as hard to make the best product possible or work to make something that angers your fans instead. If you are a video game studio, you need to nip stuff like this in the bud before it grows into something much worse. Because at the end of the day, you are going to be the ones that suffer most from this. Your studio gets caught holding the bag because of one person who decides to open their mouth or get on their phone. And I'm not saying devs can't say what they want on their own social media. Who am I to tell you what you can and cannot think? But once you cross that line and start throwing stones at your player base, all bets are off. So to answer my question, no, not all game devs hate gamers, but there's enough of them that do to start doing something about it. So that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.